And what I was getting at was I was asking if anyone had seen the BET Music Awards because Chris Brown apparently had a nervous breakdown during the Music Awards. And they're now saying that people saw Chris Brown put some sort of drops in his eyes so that he could fake crying. They're saying that the tears were not real and that everything there was fake. Everything. The entire thing was staged. It was staged for him to go on and get so emotionally involved in the song and the performance that he would just break down crying, get the sympathy people from everybody, and kind of jumpstart his career. I don't know whether or not this is true or not. I've not spoken to Mr. Brown, and he's not confessed anything to me, but it does sound like a brilliant idea. And I did a search trying to find some drops that you could use in order to cry. I was unsuccessful in finding that. I was unsuccessful in finding anything that you'd be able to utilize in order to fake these tears at the very beginning. But, you know, I'm thinking that if you're using drops, though, that's going to be a little bit difficult to do on command. Now, his reps are saying that it's untrue. His reps are completely denying any account of this and saying that nobody knows what they're talking about, and nobody will be able to corroborate this and establish how this happened and when it happened. They're just completely denying any of it. But I was wondering whether or not it would be a cool thing if you are having a career like he's got that's kind of like stalled and flatlined basically, but you're not quite dead. They're working to resuscitate it. Whether or not that's a brilliant move. And I think that it's a great move to do something like that in order to gain some sympathy. And I was wondering whether or not an acting coach would be willing to teach a person who's in a similar situation how to cry on demand. And that's going to be the basis of today's spontaneous research call. They normally pick up the phone at least.
Act 1 may help you.
Hi, ma'am. How are you doing?
I'm fine.
I was calling to find out whether or not you guys do any sort of private lessons there, or is it all in sort of a class?
No, most of our teachers do offer private lessons. For what?
Well, first of all, I should probably introduce myself. My name is David Smith, and I'm the personal assistant of Dan Delgado, Radio Dan of the Radio Dan Show. And what we're looking to find someone who would be able to work with him. And I don't know whether or not you heard about all of the media that's taking place around some of his latest comments right now, but eventually, within the next couple of months, he's going to need to hold a national press conference in order to apologize for some of the comments that he said on the radio show that sparked some national outrage. And it's just very important for us that when he does this, he's really able to come off as sincere. He's able to come off as sad. He's able to conjure up all of the emotions that will be needed in order to replenish the image. We would even like him to be able to cry if possible. And the only way that we would know to do this in order to make sure that it's done properly, because as you probably are aware, we can't have there'll be no second chance at this. We're going to need to get him into some sort of an acting class in order to make sure that this goes off properly and to, in essence, save his career.
Wow, and he'll be doing this interview on the radio or on camera?
No, he'll be doing this on camera. He's going to hold a press conference, and he's going to go on a couple of shows in order to just, show remorse and to say that he's sorry for some of the insensitive comments that he's made. But if he just goes on with the same persona that he always does, we're not sure that the public necessarily is going to take it as seriously as we need them to take it. Because we've got to resuscitate this thing. We've got to completely get that ugly image that they currently have of him out. And the only way that we're going to be able to do that is if he really comes across sincere and remorseful. And so we also then don't want him in a big class, because we wouldn't want anybody else to know that he's preparing for this.
Right, I understand totally. And when do you have to have this done by?
We would like to do it within the next couple of months. However, he's not ready at all. Like if we put him in front of the press right now, he'd hang himself. He would say something dumb, or he would not really take it all sincere. And that's the reason why we got to get him in a good acting class before he does this national tour.
And I'm sorry, what is his actual name? Dan
Delgado. But his
That's
persona
right.
is, yeah, the Radio Dan show. Are you familiar with Radio Dan at all?
No, I've heard the name,
Yeah.
but I've never listened to it. I don't know it.
Okay.
But I have heard the name. I tell you, the person that I would want to ask regarding this would be Steve Merle, who is the director of our program here.
Okay.
And he is out of town until the beginning of next week.
Okay.
Would this be able to hold until then?
It will, absolutely. What I'm doing right now, as I said, I'm his assistant, and so we're not making any firm decisions. Dan is actually going to be taking a week and a half off because of all of this controversy anyway. And so what I'm going to be doing, if it's okay with you, I'm going to, right now I haven't found anybody that I'm really comfortable with. You're the first person that really seems to grasp the complexity of this. I would like to give you a call back around the time that you think that this person would be available so that we could revisit this idea.
Okay. I would expect Steve to be back in by next Wednesday.
Okay.
Okay, and if he's not, then perhaps there would be a way that we could talk with him and get some of his input on this.
Okay. So I'm assuming that he's really good at things like this?
I would be very surprised if it has ever come up.
Okay. Oh, this is the first time.
If anything like this has ever been requested before, and that's why I feel like I should speak directly to the director.
Okay. That's fine.
And that's where the privacy element would stay in, etc.
Okay. Got it.
You see what I'm saying?
I do.
May I ask the nature of the controversy?
Well,
because I don't know.
Sure. You didn't hear it, I'm assuming. He'd made some very and they were like racially insensitive comments. Like one of them, he made the statement of he thought that Good Times was the national anthem for black people, and then another time he had said that someone had called in and asked whether or not he'd had sex with an African American lady, and he says that the closest that he'd ever come would be having a masturbatory experience with a picture of Aunt Jemima. And I'm sorry, I don't mean to be offensive, but things like that. And
I appreciate your honesty.
Yeah, and so he made those statements. And now the people are just going crazy. And some of the areas that his show is syndicated in are black communities, and they're just running wild in that area at this point. It's just getting ridiculous. So he's taking time off in order to reflect. But when we get him there to apologize to the African American community, we've got to make sure that they believe that he's sincere.
Right. Right. Well, I can. Okay. Let me see if I can run this by Steve, and if you give a call back next Wednesday, hopefully if he's not here, we will have some kind of an answer for you. Okay?
I really appreciate everything that you've done. I guess we work this out.